This is the first time I've ever come to Imperial College, but I have had contact with them before, and that was on the River Thames when I'm a member of Thames Rowing Club, and we thrashed Imperial College first eight on 3 2-minute rows. But in the actual head of the river, they beat us because they were consistent. They didn't change their crew at the last minute. So we went a bit Greek with nepotism the last two in our crew, and so we lost out to them in the actual race. Anyhow, to get a little more serious, although it's very difficult to be serious because I start bursting out into laughter every time I get serious about this Greek thing, because for me it's actually become surrealistic. Let me start with just giving a few specific instances, and I will have to get personal because I am a Greek civil servant myself, and when I've given these few little facts, then I shall simply attempt to, there's no time for analysis and evaluation and all that, but I shall attempt to ask some questions which may provoke thoughts in your minds, and a few questions. All right, look, I came to Greece in some years ago, many years ago, to do some postdoctoral research. I got a Greek government scholarship, and I thought I'd have to make ends meet at the time. I thought I ought to get a job as well. So I ended up in the middle of the Peloponnese in a big, a fairly large town, having just, I sort of left England in a way. I just got 22,000 votes in the European election for London West, and I thought, it's enough of politics, I hate it. Anyway, there I was in Greece, and I was researching, basically, although I did most of my research in England, flying back to do a bit of research. But I was employed by a huge language school. I had 1,000 pupils. I did get a few hours teaching a week and wrote course material, and had a nice flat, and I used to go spearfishing at weekends. But it was a serious job. Suddenly, someone noticed, about a year and a half later, that the contract which they signed with me, this wasn't Athens, or this was, well-to-do people with big houses in this language school, noticed that the contract which I had signed, which was in English, they translated it for me kindly, said that I was paying both my own contribution to the Social Security and their contribution to the Social Security. I never understood why they did this. So actually, my future wife, who I'd met, says, damn it, this isn't on, and let's go take him to court. So we did. So that took 7 years. First, they won the case, which was bizarre, because it was a clear case of they'd done something actually against the law. First, I went to the local employment office, and they said, make all sorts of strange reasons, saying that I should get a lawyer, and they couldn't handle it, and this nonsense. Got the lawyer. Lost the first case, and I remember the judge calling the person involved by her Christian name, as if she was a friend. Then we appealed, and we won. So I won, but it took 7 years. That's my first specific instance. Before I give a few more instances, let me say that there was an even much bigger scandal at Bournemouth University, where I used to lecture, when they were misusing money from the Erasmus programme in a heavy way. So let me not, although I'm giving instances of Greek corruption, please let's be aware that some of the biggest corruption scandals have been in Germany. I remember German was heavy. And in England, Al-Yamani, and you're talking about billions and billions and billions of pounds. So let me not, I don't want to be nasty to the Greeks, but I have to say there is a certain systemic and systematic form of minor corruption which isn't actually considered corruption. It's almost a way of life with some people. Anyhow, second little example, I remember I went, before I had my eye operations, I've got good eyesight now, I needed contact lenses, and I remember I went to a state hospital for a contact lens, and I remember afterwards a doctor standing in a corridor saying, I have your contact lens, that'll be 25,000 drachmas, please. So all right, so I gave him his little envelope, and then I got my lenses. That was totally illegal, but apparently everyone does it. If you've got a bit of dough, in Greece, you give your little fakelaki, your little envelope, the bustarella in Italy. This I found bizarre, and I thought of these horrible ideas. People were, give me the money or you'll die, Frightening. That frightened me. Now, other little details of, let's say, slightly unsavory behavior. Some private universities in Greece have overseas, it might be New York College, it might be Indianapolis University, whatever. They get letters saying that the male student, is studying at the university, but the letters are from abroad, and it looks as if the student is studying in America or in Britain or wherever, when in fact they're doing all the studying in Greece. The boy students, then the male students, then get them translated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They then go to the Ministry of Defence, which accepts them knowing, and their military service is deferred. Completely legal, but everyone's in it. It's those sort of things go on. I could go on there, but personal. Now, how has this affected me personally? Well, I won't say, but one of the very best publishers in Greece, who's translated one of my books recently, owes me over 1,000. They've admitted it. They can't pay because they're not being paid by the bookshops, they say. Then a general owes me a lot of money for some work I did, and then my own university owes me for a trip I did. I was invited to Moscow for the airfare, and they have a letter saying, yes, so this is all paid for, and then you go there, oh, sorry, actually, it's a bit tricky at the moment. So it's affecting everybody very, very badly. It's affecting ordinary people like me. My salary now is about nearly 40% less in net terms than it was 18 months ago. Because I'm a civil servant. I'm one of these awful, naughty, horrible civil servants who've caused all this trouble. Am I? Frankly, no. What's happened in Greece is that a lot of ordinary people, basically honest people, are being forced to pay for the misdeeds of, this is my view anyhow, I know there are two sides to the story, the misdeeds of an elite, a systemically corrupt elite. There are 300 members of parliament in Greece. For 11 million people, that's ridiculous. Go to Holland where they have 100 in the lower chamber. For 15 million people, come to England where they have between 600 and 700, 650 something, for 60 million people. So it's unbelievable. It is a whole culture, and it's mixed in with society. As Vasily has said, so I won't repeat it, it's very much a problem. Now, what in my research into Cyprus and Anglo-Greek relations, I came across a little document from 1981, and I'd like to quote from it to show that this is not just a recent problem in Greece. It started with the very beginning of the Greek state. After they'd killed the Capodistria, murdered him, Greece was literally under the influence of either the English or the French or the Russians. Let me quote an English minister, because Greece, of course, as you probably know, was a protectorate until 1923. And quite frankly, it's been a de facto protectorate since then. But in 1841, right back then, the British ambassador, called minister to this protectorate called Greece, said, Greece can either be English or Russian, and since she must not be Russian, she has to be English. And that is still, to a certain extent, the situation today, with different colours. As Guicciardini said, the same things return with different colours. Things have always been the same. The past sheds light on the future. So it is the same today as it was then, with different colours. Now, here's the ambassador in Athens. Am I going on for too long, Sheila?
We'll have one last point.
Okay, well, let me make my last point by quoting very quickly from this letter from the British ambassador to Athens about the Greek politics and the state of play. First, inefficiency and corruption. This is 1981 with a new democracy government, a more right-wing government. The Greek public service is bureaucratic, slow-moving and highly politicized. The administration finds it difficult to respond to the need for reform. I'll just take sentences out of it. It's governments of the new blah, blah, blah. Where the administration and the citizen come face to fact, there is also insufficient and sometimes inhumane bureaucracy. Much of the corruption in Greek public life amounts, in my view, to little more than the working to the limits of the political system, which allows and is indeed based on the principle of rousfeti, which is in Greek pelatismos, which is, well, clientelism, if you like. Here's a beauty. The boy, right, the local deputy persuades the minister to find a job in a corner of his ministry for the son of one of his clients. The Greeks say, one of our people. The boy is not too bright and will not improve the efficiency of the ministry, but the votes of the client, who is the village headman, and of his extended family and friends are assured. The same principle of favours exchanged applies, of course, to other benefits than jobs, places in hospital, even attachment to embassies abroad. So it was going on then and before, and it seems to me that whatever political party you have in power, it doesn't make much difference because it is systemic and systematic. It's a way of life. Remember that MPs are immune. Remember that they are the second highest paid people, MPs in the European Union. They even have cars given to them free. We don't have that in England. And that is one of the main problems. The measures that have been introduced are absolutely criminal. They've demanded money with menaces from me by adding an illegal tax to the electricity bill and threaten to cut off the electricity if I don't pay the whole of the tax, etc., etc. I could go on and on and on and on, but I shall stop now. Sorry if that was a bit promiscuous in delivery, but I hope you got something out of it.
No,